just trying to... I'm still here. I'm just trying to remember what the correct window I use for Call of Chernobyl is. Just give me a second. Also, just so I can get it up. Looks like we're using window capture again today, unfortunately. As annoying as it is to have to correct the size of the window, I guess... Well, hello. Just give me a second so I can get something up. Just let me properly stretch the frame and... Actually, excuse me for a second, I forgot that... Oh, looks like the game capture does work on this game. I'm still gonna have to hide it so I can load my game without fear of doxing myself. Oh, but hey, at least it works. So yeah, I'm probably going to keep this like a short stream, maybe 45 minutes tops, but if you don't know, I added those sound redeems, and for the most part, I'm happy with what I have, except there's one thing of note. I kind of want to have something that, like, if not is like not exclusive to my channel, at least like debuts there. And there is one already that I know for a fact that I want. Okay, maybe slight change in plans, since the Act-Man actually put out a video on the Sniper Wolf drum, and I don't think I've really talked about that on stream. For the record, I absolutely am opposed to what Leah did. That's her real name. You know what? Let's do a slight change in plans. But first I had to get my color up. This is actually going to be a bit harder than I thought. If you're curious why I say that, long story short, actually, I think I know how to do this. I know exactly what to do. So before we do what I had originally planned, let's actually see what the Act-Man's take on the whole Sniper Wolf situation is. Like, I have a general idea. Like, he's fully on Jack's Film's side. And, like, if you don't know, the Act-Man, I'm pretty sure is actually from my state. Like, I say this because in a video he did on ideas for Halo Infinite when the game came out, he mentioned in getting high on weed, which was legal in his state, and he also mentioned Washington state laws back when he had that feud with Quantum TV. So I am very confident in saying that he's from my state, and hey, he's a damn good YouTuber. Should probably move this so that like it doesn't cover chat. Okay, if you want some additional context, during the whole feud with Quantum TV, the Act-Man who was getting frustrated with YouTube, who made a joke about going into YouTube, his headquarters, and doxing them. YouTube got frustrated and temporarily demonetized him. Now, to the Act-Man's in YouTube's defense, I do not think that they were being malicious like some people think. I think what happened was it took the Act-Man's side. Quantum had filed a false copyright strike against the Act-Man and thought that was the end of that. Then they saw the Act-Man saying he would go around doxing other creators and YouTuber employees unprompted. That's what caused them to do that. It was ignorance, not malice. Hanlon's rage wasn't full effect. Does that mean that they were in the right? No, it's just it was not as bad. Yeah, that's what, as I was just saying, like seriously, YouTube needs to be, hey, we were going to start off with sound effects, but then I noticed the Ackman and made a video on the whole old Sniper Wolf drama, and I figured, hey, I haven't talked about this, why not? But we will get back to choosing sound effects, since there is one that is kind of a follow-up that I want to do, and also it would give me a chance to react to a certain debate that I have not shown. And yes, it involves of Steven Crowder. If you can't tell, it's a clip from the debate, and I say that with the strongest air quotes possible, he did with Sam Cedar, which was honestly the only legitimately funny thing he's ever been involved in. And there is one other thing involving the quartering. But before I do that, is the sound too loud, or how's the sound on that? Okay, good. I'll take care of these two bandits, then we'll get back to the video. If you're curious on my thoughts on the Ackman, I personally think he's great. He's probably one of the best creators from my state. That was certainly a very interesting way of getting out of death. Let's actually load the one I had before this and see where I was then. Actually, you know what? I could just do the fights. I think I'll do that, but let's watch the video, actually. You know, I'm probably going to have to, like, actually hide those old stalker vids, at least for Clear Sky and Call Pripyat. Maybe Shadow Chernobyl at some point, because I do need to actually, like, go either hire someone to go through them with a fine comb or do them myself. Although then again, just my name is kind of pointless, and I know that there are other people with my first name. I've actually run into at least one other person. Although worst case scenario, this is actually someone else's computer, is what I could just say. Hey, admittedly, kind of a dick move if, you know. Hey, but still. Oh yeah, I've actually been meaning to watch that video by Koryax Kenshin. I have no problem with YouTubers making money off of sponsorships. Hell, I'm probably going to do so one day, and I don't want to come across as a hypocrite. It's more just as I'm viewing it as a way of cutting out the fluff.
This whole situation is really unfortunate for YouTube because Sniper Wolf is a creator that YouTube themselves have promoted, and now she's doxing another creator.
Застеснялся, что ли?
That's a big fucky wucky to untangle. On her story, she posted, "Should I go to Jack's Film's house? He lives 5 minutes away from my school." That sounds like a really good idea if you're a psycho bitch. And then while Jack was live streaming, guess who showed up?
While on the plus side, you guys do get to see me handle the arena, since I didn't get it, and I didn't do that on screen. Wait. Okay, looks like the cropping's a bit off on that. Just give me a second. One other channel that's actually been doing really good covering the whole Sniper Wolf scenario is, oddly enough, of Your Movie Sucks. Looks like I've actually known that channel for quite a while. Well, I actually like it more than Jack's Films, but like, Adam has been doing really good on that field, and in general, Your Movie Sucks has actually been proven to be surprisingly based overall as of late. Like, you may not know how, like, with The Flash, Ash, like, there's the whole Ezra Miller controversy. For the record, I think that Warner Bros. Should have just scrapped after the movie. Since controversy aside, it comes across as really hypocritical since, like, they decided, you know what, Batgirl is too much to bear. Yet that was as finished, if not more finished, than The Flash. And I would have actually watched a Batgirl movie since she's never been on the silver screen before. And I know you're going to say the same thing about The Flash, but Batgirl did not have all the drama dragging her around. But still, yeah. TLDR, screw Ezra Miller, screw them. If you don't know, Ezra Miller is non-binary, so just us respecting their pronouns, which is might as well do so, but in case this clip gets taken out of context later.
Wait, what?
She's literally right outside.
Oh my god!
This is happening right
The
now.
fuck?
Call the fucking police. Actually. Call the police.
No, there's a video.
She's outside your house right now.
Sniper Wolf just doxed me on her Instagram. Creepy, gross, violating. What you do is disgusting. You steal content and stalk.
Oh, wait.
At YouTube, demonetize this dangerous creator, or just get her off platform. She posted an Instagram story right outside our home and deleted it. It's time to get her off the platform.
Phew.
She's no longer a silly creator that steals content, teehee. She's a creep that stalks and threatens her critics. So let's hear Sniper Wolf's justification for showing up to his house. This creep has been harassing me for months, then plays victim, saying I threatened him when I just wanted to talk.
I just want to talk to him.
Why do you have a shotgun?
I just want to talk to him.
Dad, this is ridiculous.
Застеснялся, что ли?
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him.
It's not his
I just want to shoot him.
I have no ill intentions. It's so sad when people have to constantly create drama to pay their bills. Look at this asshole playing a victim when I show up uninvited to his house and post this information on my fucking Instagram account. Yeah, apparently this is just a big joke to one of them will become the sister saying, damn, does he not know how to fight or something?
You're laughing. Why is that? This is not a joke.
So were you there?
You know, the funny thing is that Wolfie seems to forget that Sniper Wolf actually has a conviction for armed robbery. Now, admittedly, California Jack's films and Sniper Wolf both live in the US, but they live in California, which is more restrictive on gun law. It's like, if Sniper Wolf did this to me, all I'd have to say, tweet out is say, hey, Sniper Wolf, you do know that I own firearms, right? And that would probably get her to back down. By the way, I do not actually own any guns, in case anyone's curious. I'm not entirely opposed to the idea, but you're not going to see... But I'm still living with my parents. We're going to have to wait until I get my own place before that.
We're there to pick a fight? No ill intentions, huh? We show up at your house. What do you do? What do I do?
Oh, call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me.
I call the police and report you to YouTube.
Yeah. There, that's a better... That's a better framing for the mini port. But anyways,
For your Instagram followers to see. The harassing you claim I've been doing is documenting recent examples of you stealing creators' content, stealing jokes, and failing to provide transformative commentary. Obviously, it struck a nerve, but wow, doxing me was not on my bingo card.
Привет, брат.
To talk IRL goes too far. Modern men are actually a joke. Modern women are a fucking joke if you're an example of them. Jesus Christ. It's comments like these that really make me want to be sexist. Accusing me of doxing is defamation. I have no idea how to dox. Liar! I don't know what's worse. How she's defending herself, or the fact that...
I've heard people... Legal Eagle did explain that it's questionable if it's actually legally doxing, but still, it's a dick move. Like, there are unwritten rules you're not supposed to break, and Sniper Wolf broke one of the biggest ones.
She thinks anybody's gonna buy this. So I did a Twitter space with like Keemstar and some other guys, and we had a real tough time finding someone who defended Sniper Wolf and was on her side. And the only person we could find was someone who thought that doxing wasn't a bad thing to do. I'll play some clips, but this guy just said some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Come on, Vito.
Oh yeah, I actually tuned into this for a few minutes.
She broke the TOS. She did not break the TOS at all. Yeah.
Okay, if you're curious, it's about Vito. His gimmick is just to be a contrarian, so I'd say that really listening to him is just a waste of time.
Tiny lady shows up to your house and says, I'd like to talk.
Ты по делу, если, так говори, не тупи.
Oh my god! Maybe she has a fucking rocket launcher. Maybe she'll shoot you to death with a laser cannon.
I literally said a handgun, not a rocket launcher. Said a handgun. You don't have to extrapolate.
You know what? I walk around all day afraid every woman I see. Show us what you learned. So that is, she did break the TOS. Ow.
Yeah, because if you have beef with somebody and you show up to their house and post it, wouldn't that not be in some way a veiled threat?
No. And
Well, now you're just being
I'm not being
disingenuous.
disingenuous. Okay, I'm having an argument with you, and I show up to your house. What's the threat?
I wouldn't even know if you were strapped, so I don't know.
Ну,
You could
привет.
shoot me if you show up to my fucking house because we're so against each other.
I can't show up to your house and talk to you about it. That's an automatic threat. No. What the?
No.
There's an age-old doctrine that I truly believe
Привет,
in.
брат.
And you know what it's called? It's called get off my property. Obviously, it's the same tactic that's used before where you go after someone. Obviously, and you know what it's called? It's called get off my property.
This is the same energy as Critical, like whipping out that AR. But for real, like, I probably will actually get myself a gun to protect me at some point. Although I'll probably keep it under like decent lock and key. And just like one, you're not gonna see me like walk up with a whole arsenal one day.
Obviously, it's the same tactic that's used before where you go after someone's personal information as opposed to settling things in private conversations or even on platform, on like a stream or something. That's like you can't just go wherever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? I think every sane, reasonable individual agrees with Jack and is on his side. And many people felt that what she did warranted immediate, swift, decisive action. It took YouTube a week to take such action by demonetizing her channel. Another one bites the dust. Oddly, though, in YouTube's response on Twitter, they said, off-platform actions that put others' personal safety at risk harm our community, and the behavior on both sides isn't what we want on YouTube. Both sides. You know, I completely agree. There were two sides in World War II, and we're never taught Hitler's side in history class. Was he really that bad of a guy?
What's funny about this really is that their actions betray their feelings on the matter too, because if YouTube truly believed that they were both in the wrong, then why is Sniper Wolf the one getting the temporary monetization ban while Jack is fine?
You know, if I had to guess, I wouldn't be surprised they were saying that just because, like, Sniper Wolf might have thrown like, YouTube probably thought that Sniper Wolf was a lot more beloved when they started at first. Then they were, like, shocked to hear her getting all this hate. So they might have actually wanted to do things a lot harsher at first, but then, and I wouldn't be surprised when they were trying to negotiate with Sniper Wolf saying Wolf on a punishment, she might have actually threatened to take her stuff to, like, Rumble or something, even though that would probably actually kill her channel. Like, I am convinced that the majority of Sniper Wolf's views are from people who just, like watch her stuff on unregistered YouTube accounts on, like, Airbnbs and whatnot. Or are just, like, horny young boys.
Know what she did was fucked up, but they've endorsed her before, and they've endorsed her super recently, and I think they just don't want to deal with that.
In all seriousness, I don't think Jack has done anything wrong, but I think from YouTube's perspective, they look at his second channel where every video features the same creator, and they falsely equate it to harassment.
This guy's entire channel is just me every single.
You want to know something funny? There's actually quite a few channels that are, like, dedicated to talking about people, like, about one person. Like, there's this channel called Sunrise Media, I think it is, or something. Like, let me look it up. Actually, no, wait, I'll just get my phone. Sunrise Productions. It's pretty much dedicated to covering Ethan Ralph. You probably are familiar with him if you've watched Pippa for a long time. Funny story about that. Pippa actually managed to piss off Ethan Ralph so much that FaZe Connect had to change her contract so that she's not allowed to talk about people by name. Although she has found workarounds.
Video for the past few months has been about me, and it's just like.
I mean, if Jack's Films is harassment, then Sunrise Productions is definitely harassment. But I don't see YouTube terminating Sunrise Productions.
Hitting on me, and then his streams. This dude is just like low-key harassing me. Like, should I get a restraining order?
In reality, Jack's Films is a channel dedicated to essentially pointing a finger at a thief and then making it clear who that thief is stealing from. That's not harassment. Perhaps YouTube sees it as a similar situation with what happened to Leafy, right? He made several videos on Pokimane before he got banned. But Leafy actually did stuff like raid her Discord. Jack is just critiquing. But this also brings up an important point.
Иди с командиром говори.
Can you make criticizing someone or something before it becomes harassment?
I personally have no issue when somebody makes multiple videos. We're all technically, in a sense, maybe not the Ackman more or less, but we've all made videos on the same topic multiple times, most of us in this call.
Dude,
I don't have an
so
issue.
many videos on
Yeah.
Halo.
Yeah, 3.3. Yeah, the 3.3.
Ну, что расскажешь?
I especially love the part where YouTube says off-platform actions that put others' personal personal safety at risk, harm our community. I wish they figured this out a year ago, but, you know, better late than never. Less than 1 hour after YouTube's tweets, Sniper Wolf posted a half-assed generic chat GPT apology, twice misspelling the name of the creator she doxed. I'm sorry to Jack's film. Yes, just the one. He's only made one film. Probably should have proofread this a little. I mean, look, man, I know it's not that important, but you gotta at least get his name right. I am sorry for reacting the way I did. You just had to sneak that in there, didn't you? Lady, you've been reacting poorly for like 5+ years. I'd also like to thank YouTube for holding me accountable. I deserve it. Respect the decision and appreciate the opportunity to learn and grow from it.
You know what I'd be willing to bet? That's not even ChatGPT. She probably just had like a form or an apology that she just put with the name in, and I'm willing to bet she misspelled it on purpose.
True lapse in judgment.
I made a severe and continuous lapse in judgment.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, at least with Logan Paul, he actually got on camera. Sniper Wolf's apology is probably just as bad as Colleen Ballinger's. Or it's because of how much of a non-apology it was.
Somehow didn't know that doxing was too much. So I'm not buying this whole like, oh, it was a lapse in my judgment. It wasn't a lapse in judgment. How insane do you have to be for that to be a lapse in judgment in the first place?
But I think this might be the funniest part of the entire story, as the day before posting this apology, she re-uploaded a video from her main channel to her second channel. As someone who went through demonetization and talked with YouTube staff and whatnot, she almost certainly knew before uploading this that she was going to be demonetized. And if you're demonetized and you upload something somewhere else to try and circumnavigate that, YouTube does not fuck around with that, okay? She was probably advised not to upload anything for a few days at the very least. Just like the day before. That's crazy. I think her intentions are pretty clear at this point. She honestly doesn't give a fuck. Probably doesn't feel bad at all about what she did. When my channel got demonetized, I waited 9 days before I uploaded something on my second channel, before I tested the waters. I was too distraught to make content. Like, bro, come on. And it's literally just a reposted old video. Like some random nonsense. Now, it's interesting that nobody is upset that Instagram hasn't taken any action against her. Just thought I'd point that out. So here's a big question. What should happen to Sniper Wolf? What she did was wrong and against YouTube's terms of service. But does it warrant a complete ban across the board? Some people agree with that, while others think that type of action is too drastic. Now, if we were talking about someone who was incredibly stupid and ignorant, or perhaps very, very young and new to this, I might be able to look past the whole doxing thing, as I honestly...
Yeah, you know, I actually think that, like, one thing that should be taken into account when deciding a person's punishment is whether or not they genuinely knew. Like, if Sniper Wolf was someone who had, like, achieved a huge amount of success in, like, a year, maybe 2 years, I could see her being in it, but she's been around for, like, at least, like, 5 or 10. And I think she even made a video complaining about getting doxxed. In fact, I'll check after this one.
But Mrs. I got arrested for armed robbery isn't stupid.
Yeah.
She knew exactly what she was doing. Weaponizing your audience against another creator in such a way, when you are at such a high level, is simply inexcusable. The more I think about it, the more I agree Sniper Wolf should not have a platform. Someone who...
Here's my question. Doesn't she have, like, a legal team she could have, like, consulted before doing this? She's rich. She could afford it. Although they're probably busy with that divorce case.
In such a reckless, irresponsible way is a liability for YouTube. Exposing a hater to her millions of potentially unhinged, sycophantic followers in the hope...
You want to know something funny? Like, Sniper Wolf's entire I'm actually, let's do something really quick. I'm just going to, like, hide the reaction in capture really quick. I will bring it back, don't worry. Sniper Wolf's gameplay that got her famous at first was entirely faked. but it was actually very good. When in the first place, like, you know those DSP experiences bugged blank videos? Well, well, I'm not gonna play the entirety, but
Good idea, bad idea. Good idea. You can be cooler than that.
yeah, as you can see, this is a Sniper Wolf video. Oh, and at first, and looking back, I could maybe see that, like, this might be an exception, since there are some, but the funny thing is that it's pretty hard to tell, but it's really hard to tell how much of her influence really is on the platform, or because she just feels so astroturfed.
That one of them might be crazy enough to do something is fucked up. She has effectively drawn people's eyes to where he lives and to look up that information themselves.
Застеснялся, что ли?
But the bigger your channel is, the higher the standards you should be held to. This is a channel that YouTube has promoted in the past. That's doubly embarrassing for them. There's no way she didn't know what she was doing, especially when her dumbass has made videos about fans that stalked her.
Yeah.
And again, if Sniper Wolf actually felt genuinely apologetic towards Jack's films, she would have posted this almost immediately.
Took her a week, by the way, to address this one. Instead of immediately that that's what you just do,
Привет, брат.
Since Sniper Wolf been permanently banned, a lot of people early on, myself included, felt impatient with YouTube's lack of immediate action, and out of pure gamer rage, I talked a bunch of shit, and I forgot.
You want to know something funny? I bet that if YouTube had actually said, you know what, we're taking away her ability to upload for a few weeks, and also we're demonetizing her, that probably would have killed off her channel. Well, I say this because, well, her content was very consumable, and it's the type that's easily replaced. Like, I'd be willing to bet that, like, the people who did stay around because they thought the reactions were genuine would have been, like, upset for 5 minutes, then they would have found someone else.
About how this process works, right? YouTube is a massive ship, and big ships take a long time to turn. If we're heading towards a waterfall, might be time to start changing course. So deciding what punishment to lay on one of the most popular creators isn't something that should be rushed or taken lightly. But for a channel this size, I can see from YouTube's perspective, not wanting to completely ban her. Yes, she is a terrible content creator, a stalker, a thief, a fake, and an overall shitty human being. But she makes YouTube a lot of money. It might be a drop in the bucket, but it's a pretty big drop. When I talked on
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another bigger reason, like, it's actually in regards to advertising. Mainly because, like, one thing that Sniper Wolf does have going for her is her videos do draw in a lot of views. So YouTube would probably want to point to her as an example of channels that an advertiser would work with. Of course, I'd argue that even if this controversy didn't exist, you wouldn't need to do that. And since, well, Mr. Beast is a far better example, and he's probably the first person most people think of when they think of YouTuber. If they're not, like, heavily into the site and they don't have one who's their favorite. That is.
that Twitter space thing, I think it was Nick DeOrio or Optimus that brought up a very good point. YouTube might not ban her because she's stealing content from their competitors and re-uploading it on YouTube. Yes, she's stealing viral TikToks. And from YouTube's perspective, it's like...
You know, I can't help but wonder, or if, like, it would be possible for, like, YouTube to like, work out some deal similar to the one they have with Twitch, that where like, people can just, like, seamlessly re-upload content from other sites. Like, you may notice that last Friday I forgot to stream. Well, long story short, I forgot to hit go live a second time, but... Okay, just wanted to make sure what that advertisement was, but... it was actually really easy to transfer it over to, or from Twitch to YouTube, since all I need to do is just click a few buttons. I didn't need to, like, download it or anything. I now see how VOD channels are able to be so successful. I don't think I'm at the point where I'm going to need to make a second VOD channel. Like, if I go corporate, I'll probably make one, but I didn't have the main channel be highlights, but for now, but it is good to know.
Like the best of both worlds, right? Why go to TikTok when you can just go to Sniper Wolf's channel? That's a damn good point. Sniper Wolf's world might be collapsing around her. There had been rumors floating around for many years that Sniper Wolf had been faking her gameplay videos, or that someone else provided the game. These suspicions have more or less been confirmed, as her ex-boyfriend Sausage is suing Sniper Wolf for
Ну, что расскажешь?
of the channel.
Because he sued her. And in the lawsuit, he basically argues that she can't go on and use
Funny story about Ray William Johnson. Like, I was scrolling through YouTube Shorts one day, and he came up, and I at first thought someone had just, like, re-uploaded one of his clips from Equals 3. He cut up as, like, a nostalgia throwback. Then I saw it was the main channel, and all the comments were new, and I realized, wait, he's making content again. It was actually kind of refreshing to see that he's still around and actually making content. Funny thing, another funny thing, Ray William Johnson has been called out by Jax Films, but considering, like Jax Films hasn't, like, brought him up, I'm inclined to say that they at least like, have agreed that they won't, like, talk smack about one if the other does, or if the other returns the favor.
the brand to make money and exclude him from all that revenue. Because remember, they started it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I wasn't the only one on who was surprised by this. Looks like the Ackman and I do think alike on this regard.
Together, and he claims he owns 50%.
He alleges that he was the major creative force behind the content, that he provided the gameplay, the scripts, and even produced the videos. Sniper Wolf's job was to sit there and react to the gameplay and pretend like it was her playing. Since Sniper Wolf built her name off of being a relatively pretty woman who was pretty good at Call of Duty, this lawsuit is pretty fucking damning. I think it's safe to say that from the very beginning, Sniper Wolf has built her brand on lies and deception.
This lady is the biggest bitch in the fucking 7 seas.
But as luck would have it, somehow she gets worse.
Like, doxing is one of the lowest things you can do as a public figure, and if there's anything on the platform that...
But as luck would have it, from the very beginning, Sniper Wolf has built her brand on
Was that
lies and
Donkey?
deception.
This lady is the biggest bitch in the fucking 7 seas.
I just needed to make sure that was Video Game Donkey. I think it was. Anyways, I'll actually, like, show off one thing that I want to actually use as a sound notification. And after this, maybe two, like...
But as luck would have it, somehow she gets worse.
Like, doxing is one of the lowest things you can do as a public figure, and if there's anything on the platform that warrants a deplatform, like, doxing is at least in the top 3 things.
Well, Mr. Reagan, if doxing is in the top 3 reasons to deplatform someone, where does minors stand? Pedo Wolf had a few videos on the channel that minors twerk in exchange for a glimpse.
You want to explain yourself? What are you doing? Make a mistake.
Sexualizing minors for entertainment. There's no shovel big enough to dig you out of that hole. Sniper Wolf has also apparently violated YouTube's policies on child safety.
You know what I don't get? This is relatively close to the whole drama involving the YouTuber Illuminati. If you don't remember that, basically she claimed that Legal Eagle had stolen an editing technique. Legal Eagle proved that wasn't the case, and then a lot of people started digging up stuff about Illuminati and coming forward, and it pretty much destroyed any credibility Illuminati had. She's only digging herself deeper. Like, if she left YouTube, said, Ed, I've decided that what I've done is unforgivable, and I'm going to leave YouTube. I just hope you can find it to one day forgive me or something. I think the controversy might have died down, and like a year later, she could have returned after like a year or so. Oh, obviously it would come back, but probably wouldn't be as strong. But I just find it so baffling that it seems like like that lesson was completely ignored.
Sexually explicit content featuring minors and content that sexually exploits minors, including minor nudity with comedic intent. That summarizes these clips perfectly. Sure, you could argue they were made with comedic intent, but what's the joke?
Привет, брат.
Working on camera because they want to see your tits? I've heard 1,000 9/11 jokes that are funnier than that. As people continue digging into her past, she has been removing potentially controversial videos to cover her tracks. So in conclusion, doxing is bad.
Не спи, замерзнешь.
Yeah, you can say that again.
I'll say it before and I'll say it again. YouTube should be a place where we can all hate each other and coexist. Internet beef should never be drawn into the real world unless both parties consent. Remember to ask Jesus. And the more you look at Sniper Wolf, her actions and content, the less respect you should have for her. I think given her status, age, and experience, she should absolutely be deplatformed and permanently banned off YouTube.
Да говори уже.
For this. I suppose we can take some solace in knowing that she'll at least lose out on a month's worth of revenue, but as Keemstar put it,
For me, I just gotta say this: if she did that to me and came to my house, I would really want her banned. Like I would want her banned, and this would feel like an injustice to me.
but for Jack and his wife, I imagine it's a little satisfaction. All in all, Sniper Wolf is terrible, and we should all continue to make fun of her and credit the creators she has been stealing from. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the Act Man for more awesome content. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video. All right.
Yeah, you know, there are some old React streams I did that I've hidden, mainly because I've been meaning to go back and like credit properly link things. But in general, this is probably why you won't see me doing a lot of like TikTok React streams, if anything. Like, I would be up for doing like a daily dot of internet reaction, in the sense he pays the people he reacts to, but even then he pays the people he re-uploads the contents of. But daily dose of internet, I confused that with daily dot. But even then, like, I'd still link to his videos. Let's see. Let's take down this dog, then I'll show off the one thing I want to use as a custom sound effect. I think I should probably hold off on doing that challenge until I get a stronger weapon. Like, a double barrel does sound pretty good. Let's actually go to the truck cemetery. Might as well, I'll hide the reaction capture. You didn't really miss much aside from more gameplay. Anyways, I think I'll actually play a few things, a few more minutes. But you know what idea I had at randomly that I suddenly think would be really awesome and want to see? You know how there was the 3 Mile Island disaster? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I didn't accidentally leave the desktop audio muted. But anyways, as I was saying... Hold on a second. I want to see, like someone make a stalker game set in an alternate reality where 3 Mile Island was as disastrous as the Chernobyl disaster. If you're not familiar with what 3 Mile Island was, it was basically the closest thing to an American Chernobyl. Like, a reactor in Pennsylvania had a meltdown. It was fortunately nowhere near as bad as Chernobyl. In fact, once it finishes loading, I'll actually look it up. Or I could... Oh, wait, I... Okay, yeah. It was a partial meltdown of the Unit 2 reactor of the 3 Mile Island plant. And it released radioactive gases and radioactive iodine into the environment. And it's the worst accident in U.S. commercial nuclear power plant history. Fun fact, there was actually a movie that kind of predicted what would happen. It was called China Syndrome. It was named after the belief that, like, if a reactor melted down, I think that, like, it would eventually go... And the game is... Okay, looks like I had to exit Call of Chernobyl because, well, it wouldn't cooperate. But anyways, good news is that Task Manager seems to have fixed things, so I guess as for a game, I could, like, boot up something else. Actually, you know what? Let's see how I handled not having any... Actually, I should boot up. Do I have Cookie Clicker installed on this? If I do, I'll boot that up. If not, I'll just... I do not. Sure, or go ahead. There is one thing I realized. I probably should actually get someone to pay until like should like find someone to make like a background, because having a black screen just feels awkward. There is one other thing I could talk about, I guess. You know the YouTuber Shadiversity? He's been in having some really bad takes as of late. First, there was his take on you know what? Let's actually cover...
It should have been me, not him. It's not fair.
Okay, good news is that it works. But let's actually talk about Shadiversity's god-awful takes as of late. Now, there is his review of Elden Ring, which he apparently had problems with the storytelling because, according to what Demon Mama, this YouTuber who is a fan of Souls games, leftist political trans commentator, if you like Souls games, give her a shout, since she's actually pretty passionate. Hell, she actually did like an AVGN style angry review of one of the boss battles. But let's actually talk about his god-awful take on AI art. Now, for the record, my stance on AI art is... Since I'm not using a game, I'm just going to put... this on full screen. Anyways, I actually used to be kind of a Shadiversity fan back before I knew about his like other opinions, but I've really grown sour since, aside from like political cool stuff, like I've actually kind of decided to like stop watching people in the vein of the Quartering. And well, as it turns out, Shadiversity has a side channel where he makes stuff like that. At like, it's called Night's Watch, and you could probably switch out, and if you were to like present the videos from that channel title only against videos by the Quartering, I'd be willing to bet most people couldn't tell the difference and would think, why did you show me a list of videos by the same channel? But his take on AI art is really bad. Like, I actually wouldn't mind if people just wanted to use it. It's like, see how like an idea they have a concept for would look. Then like they'd actually draw it out the traditional way. That would be fine. But still, why? Like, I'm not a good artist, but you're not seeing me, like, saying I'm this good. It takes, like, his. I wouldn't be opposed to actually doing a takedown of his Elden Ring review after playing the game, so if I ever get around to playing Elden Ring on stream, not gonna do it for a while, since I want to have Sekiro be my introduction to the whole FromSoft thing. And I do have that in my library, if you want to see it. I'm trying to remember if I have it installed or not. I'll probably use a controller if I do play Sekiro, though, since... Oh, good. Yeah, like, I'm not opposed to playing Elden Ring, even without having read any of Game of Thrones. I technically have watched an episode, although it was that, like, you know that Night of Too Many Stars that Jon Stewart did? A few years ago, there was one where, like, 2 comedians watched Game of Thrones. It was a DVD for that. But yeah, like, if I do enjoy Sekiro, and then I find other Souls games I enjoy, I would be more than happy to play Elden Ring if people asked. In fact, there's actually one Soulsborne game that I don't think I've seen a lot of people... One Souls-like, rather, that I don't think I've really seen... That I've actually kind of been interested in, that I don't think I've seen a lot of people talk about. It's called The Surge. If you're curious why it interests me, it's sci-fi, actually. Like, most of the Souls-like games I've seen go for a fantasy aspect. The Surge is the only one I can think of off the top of my head that eschews this aspect. It's definitely something I'm looking into. And also, like, well, okay, there are some other ones, but, like, it's the only one not attached to a big franchise I can think of. Of, like, Armored Core, or is described as Souls-like. I'm guessing that's because it's from software, although I haven't played it, so I don't know, maybe that is true. But anyways, here's the clip that here is one thing I kind of wanted to use is back to the thing I was saying. Like, as mentioned, I've basically kind of, like, decided to purge any people who remind me of the quartering from, like, my subscription list. Like, I've pretty much stopped watching Rev Says Desu. I used to be a fan of his because I realized his content is very similar. One YouTuber who I used to be a fan of, but stopped watching even before I became a fan of, before I made this decision, was Hiro Hiei, because I realized his content was basically extreme Japanophilia. Not Japanophobia. And it was basically like, the West sucks, Japan is better, even though there are people who will tell you Japan has its own set of problems. For example, Japan is likely on the brink of, if not currently facing, a demographic crisis because of how many elderly people there are and not having enough young people. Like, there's a reason that meme of Shinzo Abe encouraging people to, like, reproduce was a thing. I don't entirely blame him if it was true, since, like, yeah, that's a problem. Like, admittedly, like, all developed countries have low birth rates, but not nearly to the extent of Japan. There are ways you can offset it, like, Germany actually found a pretty good way, like, migrant workers. But still, like, Japan is not exactly the best country I would use for a role model in all areas. Like, there are some areas where I'd say Japan has the right idea. Like, I do wish that the US would like, just copy the bullet train systems. Even if it was just, like, a few across the country, like, let's say Seattle to Atlanta, New York to Los Angeles, Portland to trying to figure out like somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't know, maybe perhaps Portland, Oregon, by the way. Portland to Philadelphia. Like, that would probably improve transit a lot. And the thing is, if it was just those 3 routes and maybe like 3 that went north and south, like one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and one in the middle, like for the East Coast one, it would be like New York or to Atlanta. West Coast one would be Seattle to LA, and Midwest one would be, I don't know, Dallas to somewhere up north, like like Austin to St. Paul, not technically a straight line, but still, like, I think the airline companies would probably agree to that, since, like, if you wanted it to, like, go from, say, a California to Texas, you could choose between flying and whatnot. And there are plenty of airlines you can fly in Europe that still have to compete with the trains, and I think that if we just, like, approach them with the mindset and, like, gave them, and at least, like assured them that they would not be replaced, they probably would get more open to the idea. Of course, unfortunately, our car-based culture is probably the biggest obstacle to having actual public transportation. Like, the thing about high-speed rail is funny story, for the price of the Afghanistan war, we could have actually had a high-speed rail system with the 3 E-routes I listed, the diagonal ones that went east to west and vice versa, I'm not sure about the north to south ones, as well as national health care. That's what a channel called Second Thought came up with, and admittedly, I used to be a fan of Second Thought, but, well, I found out he was a tanky. And I don't just mean, like, a bread tuber. Like, I have no problem with bread tubers. I say this because, like, he actually was speaking for the Communist Party of the United States. I mean, as in, like, an actual tanky. He was saying, yeah, I would say that, like, the car companies are probably the bigger threat to, like, public transportation. But the funny thing is that, like, I've actually been seeing far more backlash to, like, the car-based cities we have of now. Like, there are whole channels, like Adam Something, for example, has made videos about, like, this, and I think there's also not just bikes. I would say that there are at least people who are discussing things. And so there is, like, some movement. And, like, honestly, I think that if we made cars, like, if like, we focused cars on short distance travel and, like, and instead made it so that trains were more focused on long range travel, that would probably move things in a huge direction. Of course, that would probably make walkable cities even harder, but funny thing is, I'd argue that if we had walkable cities, that would be a lot better for our healthcare system, since more people walking means less people gaining weight. But you want to know the worst idea I've seen floated by for to solve, like, our problem with our car-dependent cities? This is probably going to piss a few people off, but I'll say it. Flying cars. And before you get upset, actually stop and think about how they would be implemented. They would probably immediately be banned over areas that would actually have importance, like like, you know, like military installations or hospitals, so you'd really only have them over low-distance residential areas. The only real travel usage you'd have would be for medium range, since short range you could just walk or drive, and long range, why not just take an airplane? And you'd also have to like schedule their takeoff, and oh wait, we've just reinvented the train. And also, American drivers are not exactly good drivers. You would pretty much be asking for 9/11 to be a daily occurrence. As Laserpig said, Friday night would be 9/11 times 100. And that's 91,100. I should watch Team America at some point. But anyways, let's talk about the one sound clip that I actually do want to create. It would be for like really hard it would be for like when I'd gone through something really hard. Like, remember back when I did Shadow of Chernobyl and I got like stuck with, and I was killing, when I was constantly getting killed by the controller? It would be for after I got through with that. The only thing I'm not sure about, aside from I'm not sure how to clip it, is, well, I'm not sure about like how the H3 podcast would use it, since it would be a clip from their show. It's probably the most famous clip, and it's probably like one of their most famous episodes, to be specific. And you might be able to guess what I'm talking about if you like watched if you were there for when I did that reaction to the Jay Aubrey video to a certain Jay Aubrey video, but let's actually I'll actually play the video and show. Oh, and then I'll probably call it a stream. I apologize if it seems like I'm not doing much, but the thing is, I'm just kind of like excited for when I start Pokemon Xenoverse tomorrow. Oh, so I'll probably do a lot more than that. I'll probably go like the full 3 hours. But anyways. Oh wait, I almost forgot that I muted this.
And was you saying you don't even have to think about it regarding the CDC? And I disagree with that. I think people should think about it. I believe.
Okay, if you want some context as to what's happening, this isn't. And basically, Ethan Klein of the H3E podcast got into a feud with Steven Crowder on Twitter, and Crowder, who is infamous for ducking debates with anyone who wasn't a college student, decided to actually accept a debate with Ethan Klein, and he did actually go through with it, although for what it's worth, there was reason to believe Crowder would back out, since both Cody Johnson and Potholer54, I think his name was, had challenged him to debates as well, but he backed out of those. Ethan Klein came up with a very special surprise that provides what I want, the source of what I want to use the sound clip for. I'm not going to do it right now, since I'd need to download the section or something, but I'll show you the clip I want to use.
And we talked about this through playful ribbing and an aggregation of medical authorities and scientific voices to make an informed and rational decision. So where do you think that I'm wrong on that?
Steven, do you know that the Spartans are practice man love with children?
Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid. Oh,
here it comes.
Oh no, Sam Cedar! What a fucking nightmare!
What a effing nightmare! That's the clip I want to use. Now, if you want to know why Crowder was so afraid of Sam Cedar, who, if you don't know, is actually a voice actor on Bob's Burgers, I don't have any problems with that show, and hey, he does strike me as the type of person who can, like, voice a character, so I'm gonna say that this was a good choice.
I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, I told Dave, remember I told you? I said this is, I guarantee you he's gonna do anything he can to avoid the debate.
Well, I just think he believes that he should debate you.
No, he doesn't. He just takes advantage of women with, mental health issues.
Steven,
Ethan Klein doesn't stand up and do his own fighting.
But yeah, if you don't know, Crowder had been ducking debating Sam Cedar, and if you didn't watch the Jay Aubrey video, this would trigger a massive avalanche that would currently lead to Crowder's life, which is falling apart, since he basically got really stressed and on edge and was verbally abusive towards his wife, which led to his wife filing for divorce. And on top of that, combined with the fact that he got really greedy and demanded a $50 million contract from the Daily Wire, like, I'm pretty sure that's more money than most TV hosts would get, at least like the average ones. Like, maybe Tucker Carlson got that much when he was employed by Fox, but, well, okay, like, only the big names on network television, like your Anderson Coopers and would probably get that much, but, like, there's no way they're paying someone on the internet, and who does politics on the internet, that much. But it was insane to think that just going on this is because he wanted to own Ethan Klein, only to come in completely unprepared, would have this much of a domino effect. Like, this video should be preserved in the Library of Congress, if it isn't already. I wonder. Let me look it up. Are YouTube videos saved? Are YouTube videos saved in the Library of Congress? Huh. I couldn't get a definitive answer on that, but it turns out that the Library of Congress does actually have its own YouTube channel. Almost 6.88 thousand videos. This is actually pretty cool. I don't think there's anything that would be worthwhile for me to do a reaction to, but hey, at least it is certainly interesting to think about. But yeah, the only obstacle to turning that sound clip into a reaction, I mean, into an audio alert is I'm not sure or how to do, like, clip it. But other than that, I do know the first one I want to make my own. But yeah, I think this is probably where I'll call it a stream. I'm still on the fence in regards to what starter I want to choose for Pokemon Xenoverse, since I'm actually not sure which of the three is the best choice. Well, I normally do go for water types. This is something that a trend I actually only broke with Gen 8, since I did not like the design of the water type starter from that gen. And it was mainly the final form, which looked like one of those, like, smug furries, like, that would post, like, some really bad take. Like, why we need racism. I think that was an actual take. Like, it was... As this video... Yeah, it was this video explaining why racism was good, and the thing is, midway through, he put up his... he decided to include one of his fetishes, which was a feet fetish, and look, I have no problem if you're into that stuff, but don't include it in serious rant videos like that. It just, aside from the fact that there are people who are not into that sort of thing, it just derails the whole thread. I'm not going to play it because, first of all, he actually took the video down, or YouTube removed it. Either way, good riddance. And second, while there are re-uploads, I do not want to subject anyone who stumbles upon this to it. I'm not even gonna, watch a reaction video. Oh, even though I would love to react to Shark Zero's reaction to it, since he'd probably say something really funny. I'm also probably not gonna do a water type starter for when I eventually play Scarlet, since I actually find the fire type starter to have the best design, although the grass type is pretty decent. Like, the idea of just traveling with a fire or ghost crocodile is pretty sweet. Plus, I could use this as an excuse to, do a cover of the Crocodile Rock on stream. But that Scarlet and Violet will have to wait until A, I get a capture card, and B, I get that shiny Arceus in Brilliant Diamond. It still has not appeared. I guess... I think I do know what I'm going to do after this stream, though. Oh, it's a break from Super Mario Wonder, but thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow we'll be starting an entirely new Pokemon game. I'm Andreas Rebel. I need to find someone to make a custom background for when I don't have anything, because a black void is just kind of depressing. And I'll see you next assignment. Later.